Our text today from the Gospel of Luke presents some challenges to us, some challenges certainly to me, and I bet to you as well. I bet you've encountered this text before, and it's perhaps prompted a question about faithful discipleship in your own life in the past. We have this tendency, at least I do, and I bet some of you do as well, to read this text as promoting some kind of dichotomy of these archetypal pictures of what discipleship might look like. That there are only doers of the word and hearers of the word. That there are contemplatives and mystics, and then there are people of active service. And that those are somehow not ever the same person. That's not true at all. But when we encounter this passage, we tend to say, there are Marys in this world, and there are Marthas in this world. And I'm more of a Martha, at least I am now. I used to be a Mary. And I will vacillate depending on which one I think is better, depending on which one favors me from time to time also, by the way. This isn't helped by the fact that there are books out there that tell us to do this. Joanna Weaver's book comes to mind, Having a Mary Heart in a Martha World. It adds to this what I'll call a misinterpretation. The book is fine in some of its advice. I'm not trying to knock Joanna Weaver by any means, but instead say that this promotion of a false dichotomy doesn't help us understand, I think, what Jesus is trying to offer to Martha in this moment, or what he's trying to lift up about what is exemplary in Mary's life in this moment, this one vignette, this one scene in their lives. For all of us, I think, instead of pushing ourselves into one end of the spectrum or another, or considering these as being non-overlapping circles and believing ourselves to be in one circle or another, it may be helpful to consider that each one of us faces times in our lives when we are worried and distracted by a great many things. And we will also have times in our lives where we are fully present to the moment, fully present to God in our midst, pursuing and being present to the God who has come near, and suddenly it seems like God has come so near. That happens to each one of us, whether we have a Mary heart or a Martha heart, so to speak. I think increasingly, for myself anyway, and probably for all of us, we find that we are distracted. Distracted before the God that appears. Distracted before God even appears. We have a great many worries and anxieties in this life. We also have a great many habits that lead us into that distraction. I've noticed for myself, I try to stay on top of these things. I am a professional Christian after all, that even I find myself so distracted so frequently in the habitual thing that has come into my life that I've noticed is my phone usage. Some of which is utilitarian, and that's just fine. Some of which can be quite helpful, and plenty of which is just there for entertainment or intentional distraction. Now, here's the conundrum. I use my phone's app to help me pray, but my phone offers the exact distraction that keeps me from praying. How do I navigate this world? I'm asking that non-rhetorically. Y'all help me out later on. I noticed at the store the other day, I'd gone into Lowe's, I think it was. I'd taken my phone with me. I'd let my wife know where I was going. I was planning on using my phone. I was using the Lowe's app to figure out which aisle and bay things were going to be in so I could go find that one thing that I needed. And then my phone died. I had not charged the battery. Nevertheless, for the 5 to 10 minutes I was in the store, I found myself pulling out my phone from my pocket maybe 10 or more times just to check to see what was going on. Nothing was going on. My brain knew that. Right? My conscious part of my existence knew that full well, that some drive within me was saying, hey, see what the score is. What's going on in the Tour de France? Let's figure things out. That's just so much fun right here in your pocket. Needless to say, I was not present in those moments to the presence of God in my life. As much as that is a distraction, to sit all of the to-do lists and projects that I might want to work on, all the worries and anxieties of my life. It keeps us in line with those characters that Jesus encounters in the gospel when he is so present to them and says, hey, come on and follow me. Over the last few weeks, we've heard the stories of how many of them have said, well, I will follow you, but first let me go do something. Let me take care of this item on my to-do list. I have to check off a few more boxes. You wouldn't believe the email stacking up in my inbox. Let me go and bury my father, one even says. And to all of them, Jesus says, if you're going to come and follow, follow now. This is the moment. Be freed from distraction and worry. The brain's capacity to anticipate and wonder, even imagine the future is a gift. It helps us to take care of ourselves and the world around us. It helps us so much to figure out what it is we might do with our to-do list or even how to populate them. That same capacity is part of the root cause of my failures in discipleship when I am anxious. I can imagine the future in which I do not do these things, where I do not exercise my control over them, or the sometimes false idea that I have control. In those moments, what I've failed to do, what I understand to be the root cause of my own failure of discipleship really is that I have not subordinated any of those things. The to-do list, the worries about the future, the things I need to do, I haven't subordinated those things under the unfathomable and unchangeable love of God. Even right now, I have no doubt that there's a part of my brain that's busying itself, trying to give consideration to what I must take care of next. It'll be a little while before we encounter the text, but I think on the horizon here we will encounter a text coming up from Jesus in which he says, "Do not be anxious or worried about your life." His disciples worried about many things, like Martha. Wonder what teaching he might have for them. Do not be anxious or worried about your life, he says. Consider the lilies of the field. Look at the birds of the air, how God has cared for them. And if he would do it for them, you better believe he would do it for you. His teaching serves as a perpetual reminder, of course, but one I need daily. He doesn't argue with them that they should not provide for their needs or the needs of others. He doesn't say that there is nothing to be worried about. He doesn't deny that hospitality is important or say that Martha's urge to create good hospitality is wrong. He doesn't say to us that there is not real work to be done in this world. Instead, I think he invites and offers us the opportunity to see what is primary, and that is the unchangeable love of God, and to allow all these other things to find their proper place subordinate to God's love, the worries and cares and occupations of our life. And in subordinating them to God's love, to find freedom, which is certainly what I want as it relates to my discipline as a follower of Christ. I find day in and day out, year over year, that the message of Jesus about our anxieties and our worries is a countercultural message. And so increasingly, I know that I must entertain it seriously and pray for it diligently. I trust that that is true for you as well. And so for you, and even more so for me, I ask, Lord Christ, that you would grant us the grace that will free us from anxiety and worry, that we might choose to stay near you when you have drawn so near to us, and that we might have the strength and courage to lay our distractions and worries before you, that we might be wholly yours and receive from you that love which is unchangeable. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.